Hello, this is the whatever podcast.
Alright, thank you, Andrew. Yeah, I think we just kind of just say whatever for intros anymore.
Yeah.
So it's been that's August, isn't it?
Yes.
It's been half a year since the last podcast, so
Awesome.
So just we're setting the standards, so like don't expect more than one podcast every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's more podcasts than that, you should feel very, very psyched. I think it's a fair interval. You know, just 6 months.
I was thinking, like, are there rules about podcasts? Like how bad is editing? Like, that's what I'm wondering.
It ranges from sucky to pure bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Because I'm very insecure about what I say. Like, I want complete control. I want complete creative control over the things I say. And then...
It's called your brain, Andrew.
It's called my brain?
It's called your brain. If you can't control your brain, then what else can you control?
Yeah.
I mean...
yeah, but that's the point of editing. It's got to be after the fact.
Well, technically, I could just, like list, like, a bunch of words out, like, completely different order, record that, and then edit it.
Jews?
Exactly. I can turn you into, like, an anti-Semite. I can turn you into, like, a Hitler, like, advocate. I mean, it's
turn me into one.
Yeah. So, I mean, pirate editing can be very good and very evil.
Yeah.
Just like most things in the world, especially America. Speaking of that, like, today I just had try one of the experiments I heard, like, it's very American sounding, dipping French fries into shake.
Mm-hmm.
And not good results. Not good results at all. And then, like, I posted something about that, and you know, what they're saying is, you know, because everything I do or try to do is obviously the wrong way. See, the problem was I had a chocolate shake when I should have had a vanilla shake. Apparently that makes all the difference in the world.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because, I mean, like, the wrong mixture of, you know, just potatoes, grease, salt, mixing with ice, you know, or ice cream and milk and sugar and all that stuff. If there's, like, anything else, like, added to it, it just throws off the complete thing.
You know what I think? Ice cream doesn't need to be, you know, like, altered in that way. Let's not introduce potatoes into ice cream.
Yeah, I guess starch and sugar is just, I mean, while they're similar in letters, they're not complementary.
I introduced fried foods that are rooted out of the ground into ice cream. It's fine as it is.
Yeah, unless you want to just, like, introduce a bunch of crap to, like, the fair or something like that, you know. If you're sick of fried Twinkies or fried sticks of butter, you know, those things are...
Stupid shit like that does belong at a fair.
Yeah. They just like to throw anything into a deep fryer. Like, I don't know, they probably have, like, something where, like, I'm sure somewhere they have a thing where, like, they just have a deep fryer. You pay, like, a certain amount of, like, money depending on, like, how big your item is, and you can just deep fry anything. I'm sure there has got to be something. If you can just bring your shit for someone else to sell it on eBay, you can bring your shit for someone else to deep fry it.
Okay. Maybe people should stick their, you know, heads in there.
I'm sure that's been at least one McDonald's employee's an imminent fate.
Yeah, can't blame them.
No, I mean, once you're a McDonald's employee, you are in the system for the wrong reason. But I mean, it's not like that I'm, like, you know, paranoid about that. But yeah. Alright, enough of the bad things part of America. Let's go to the breaking bad things in America.
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, we can't talk too much because, you know, we actually have some respect for, you know, good shows, unlike these soulless bastards that like to spoil TV shows. Like a lot of them, it's like mostly what I've seen is like Walking Dead and shit. And of course, it's just like you put a name on there and you mention Walking Dead. All you can do is assume they died. It's just like, it's like, oh, main character, who gives a fuck?
Well, I mean, spoiler alerts exist for a reason. It's to alert people. As long as we alert people, then.
Well, people don't fully utilize the spoiler alert. Like if they're on like professional, I'm not gonna say professional website, but a website with somewhat of a etiquette, like Reddit. Like they have certain things where you say spoiler alert, and if you don't say spoiler alert, you get ripped to shreds, and they pretty much just chop your head off.
Yeah, well, we're talking about episodes that have aired, and given a buffer of about a day and a half since the last one. That's fair enough.
Yeah, but I guess we can try to get into it without, going to. But I don't know. The last episode, Breaking Bad. I understand, some people not getting too excited because there wasn't too much of action in it. There wasn't to the standards of Breaking Bad. I mean, which they've set pretty high standards. Definitely say that for
Yeah. But it's not like an action-packed series. I mean, you have episodes of a lot of action, but most of what goes on under the surface. So, if you're not into that, then I don't know. I don't know how Breaking Bad can be a great show if you're not into, not necessarily symbolism, but what's going on underneath the surface inside the characters being expressed in their choices that they make.
Yeah, and I don't know, what do you think about the acceleration that they're going with each episode, with how fast they're going?
I like it because it means there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen that we aren't anticipating.
That's very true. It's just pretty much just kind of it's like when you're watching a YouTube video and or something with people playing something, and then you see the time left and well, there's got to be something that happens eventually, if something's already escalated or something that doesn't happen. Yeah. You just kind of tell. And yeah, there's 6 episodes left, and I mean, with the pace that they're already kind of doing, so much storyline that could fit in 4 or 5 episodes, I would say.
For some reason it does make me feel a little more comfortable, because my greatest fear about the ending was that they were going to stick to the original game plan and make him essentially a Scarface type replica, which to me, in some sense, okay, fine, you can have him have some big gunfight, you can have him be this, declining, this all-powerful guy on the decline, where everything's just kind of crumbling in front of him. Fine, but I want it to have substance. I want it to have multiple dimensions. That's the character they've created. That's the story they've created. It's evolved since the beginning, when they wanted to just make him a transition from an all-around good guy, straight-laced, school teacher, turns into how someone transitions from that into some drug kingpin, who kills people and is just all around just a bad guy. They've made that transition. They showed the transition with a lot of depth. I just hope they end it with depth too.
Yeah, but Vince Gilligan stated that it's Mr. Chips to Scarface, and and I guess that's the most basic way of putting it. But when you you look back, you can kind of see that he's always had that Scarface in him.
Yeah,
but it's just come more to light.
Yeah.
He's had more opportunity to.
It's a fine aspect. It's a fine single layer of Walt, but it's a great outline to the story. But you can't. I don't think you can just. I mean, Scarface. Yeah, he's a badass character. Everyone thinks it's cool, but he's not. It's not an original. It's not an original story. It's not. He had no depth. He's not a real character as far as I'm concerned. He's not someone you can really relate to. I want Walt to be ultimately a human character. He's been kind of a psychopath this season. but I want him to kind of become a nuanced character, become some sort of human, essentially.
Yeah, well, he's kind of been that like at least like the past like 2 seasons or 1.5 seasons, depending on what your standards are. Whether like because I don't want to go too much into it, even though
it's degrees. It's degrees. Yes, he's been gradually losing his humanity over the course of the show, but it's not till season 5 where he basically became a psychopath, where he lost feelings of remorse, guilt. He was manipulative. He faked emotions to manipulate people. Where he was essentially just completely devoid of any kind of human emotion.
Yeah.
And just the way he treated his wife was nothing like how he was doing it before.
Oh yeah.
He was completely possessive, dominating, completely cold to her perspective at all.
Yeah, well, it's because you can see towards the beginning of the entire series, how he was he was kind of emasculated. He was kind of treated as the lesser, and then now that he's had some power, he's become power hungry. He's become he wants to be the alpha male. He wants to be this kind of ruler.
Yeah, it's always I suspect it's always been what he was, but he was beaten down by that, and he gave up. And obviously when he got his diagnosis of cancer, he felt it was the final straw. He felt cheated, and he wasn't going to take it anymore. He wasn't going to play by the rules anymore.
Yeah.
And he found a way to satiate his ego, his need for his need for being validated for what he feels he's worth, his self-value, what he feels he deserves to accomplish, and not in him accomplishing so much as far as his chemistry goes, his career, and how he kind of failed is just kind of symbolic to how he kind of felt in general.
Yeah. It's just going to be so interesting to see the final, the end of it, where we've seen flash forwards, and all you can do is just speculate. All you can do is just kind of just guess by certain ways he says the few lines he has, and the way he looks and all this stuff, and it's just kind of just all we can do is speculate, but it just makes us just I guess everyone does just just talks about oh, what's gonna happen, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But then when we get glimpses into the future, just small little things, and it just kind of just euphoric. We're just all this stuff, just oh my god, is that it? Or is he's gonna do this? Or is that gonna happen?
You're obviously the information you're being given is controlled, so I don't think Vince Gilligan's the type that's going to reveal anything.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna ruin the suspense of what's going to happen. I like the flash forwards though. It's giving me confidence that it's not going to be some cliched fall from power story where you're supposed to kind of revel in getting him, not necessarily his comeuppance, but supposed to revel in him just kind of falling from grace. Yeah, it's been over too long of it's not a steep enough slope at this point for it to be that kind of story. I know you haven't seen Death Note, but it kind of similar disappointing ending like that.
Oh. Yeah. I think I tried to watch some of that, and it's just I guess maybe I didn't give it enough try, but
the problem I have with Breaking Bad, some of the fans, anyone who praises any aspect of it by saying it's badass and that's all they really have to offer, I feel like their perspective is just way too narrow to have a full appreciation of the show. Oh yeah, so
those are the same people that probably didn't like the Fly episode.
Yeah.
Because there's where there's cult following of people liking certain things where people don't. It's the opposite of that. Where a good the majority of people probably liked the Fly episode, whether it was because it was different or just because it was a Breaking Bad episode. But then there was other people that didn't like it because it was so different from previous ones, and it kind of just seemed a little out of place.
Mm-hmm.
But it gave like such a great perspective, like on the overall like the concept and like the aspects of Walt, and like just it gave like a glimpse like through just a microcosm of like just that fly.
Well, I think I wouldn't blame anyone for not liking it. I mean, I can even see you calling it pretentious, but I wouldn't, because I don't think symbolism is necessarily pretentious, especially when it's in a small dose like that. It's just one episode. I mean, according to my understanding, watching one of the panel discussions with the cast and crew and everything, I know Vince Gilligan was describing it. It's I forget the term for it, but it's one of the episodes basically at a certain point in the season where you cut down the budget, you limit the amount of sets there are, and I guess make it more dialogue heavy, which is what it was. And they made a great episode with these kind of constraints. That I forget the exact purpose of those types of episodes, but I think it's something to do with making sure you come under budget or something like that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was great because I like that. I like the idea of getting a break from the heavy plot stuff and just focusing on the internalization of the characters. Not just that, but it gave you sort of a day in the life feel of Jesse and Walt, which I thought was cool because it does kind of skip from high point to high point in every episode, and it's interesting to give a low point, but it obviously did a lot more than that. Yeah,
and if you keep on like having like the same type of episodes, it's gonna come like this kind of just bland, like redundant series, and like so every now and then, even though I hated it, like the other episode. Directed by the same guy who directed The Fly, the one with the freaking like Skrillex dubstep, like the beginning where like I absolutely hated. Some people like it because they like that really shitty music, and but like obviously you have to have like those just kind of those out of the ordinary things, kind of just I don't want to say rejuvenate, but just kind of I don't know. Be able to help you put other things in perspective, because like if you have just the same stuff, you don't really have much to compare it to. So if you have like something just completely different, then you'll be able to appreciate other things and maybe appreciate everything except for that at the beginning. But episode in general was still good. Just that opening was just very out of the ordinary.
Well, I mean, it was a season 5 episode, and season 5 definitely has its own kind of character and style in it, and I like it, but I think the tone of the season so far almost kind of reflects how Walt's been, and just kind of cold and sort of empty, and very much on the surface, and I can appreciate that, but it's. My tastes lie more with like season 2 or season 4. In season 3, I guess I respect, but it just wasn't enough quite interesting going on as maybe season 2 was, or season 4.
Well, season 4, that season, it's still my favorite season. Yeah. Like there's just like so much, like just it almost just seemed like a high budget film overall, where it's just like they just went like all out, and just
that's when the story really evolved into something huge. It delved for some reason. I mean, it's the same number of episodes, but it delved into every character so much more. It devoted a lot more to Jesse. It created a whole other story with Gus that was really like before season 3. Would anyone ever expected it to go that way, to give this huge story to this character that's so tied into the cartel and this different world that has nothing to do with Walt? It's only really kind of collided to it by coincidence. But it created this huge world. It opened up the world of Breaking Bad. I thought it's just a testament to how much they'll allow the story to evolve on the fly.
Well, exactly, and it's on the fly, because like I read somewhere where like they weren't gonna do much with Gus. That the real like villain, like superpower in like that like season and a half, stuff like that, was actually going to be Hector Salamanca.
Yeah.
That they're going to have him as like the villain, the huge villain, and
hopefully
it turned
they
out
realized he was kind of limited in some respects.
Yeah, they just turned him to Senior Ding Ding.
Yeah, they don't. I think they realized they didn't want a bunch of scenes with Ouija boards in them.
Yeah, I know. You're very restricted when you have to have a nurse point out and. Yeah,
but I mean, but it's also they were planning on killing Jesse in the first season.
Yes,
so
yeah, like,
that's like what probably the first 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah,
they were planning on killing him off, but they realized what he was. They adjusted and they evolved, and I like that, and that's why I don't want this kind of dumbed down Scarface ending, in which I don't really expect it to be like that. I think it'll be very nuanced ending. Because they have evolved. I don't think Vince Gilligan would feel obligated to do that at this point. I think he knows the kind of character that Walt's become. It's not just kind of this interesting look at a transition, on the surface of like, goody, play by the rules school teacher to this, badass drug kingpin, it's about to, hit his bloody demise or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You hit it on the head that. Like, by now, we can just trust that Vince Gilligan will get it, if not completely right, like mostly right, because you've seen as like the whole thing with Jesse and Gus and all this stuff, but like he doesn't like have these just concrete storylines where like nothing's gonna change or anything like that. Like he's gonna stay strong with it. That like. He adjusts, like he like adapts to like what he thinks is going to be the best for it. Not just he's just going to like stick to his guns and like even though it'd be shitty, he realizes, okay, I don't think this is going to work out. Let's try to dig deeper into this, and it's worked out so far. And
well, I mean it's not just Vince Gilligan, but all the writers on the show,
yeah.
But yeah, it seems they just follow where the characters go, and that's what a good writer does. They let the characters take their own direction. You don't try to force them into anything. That's the difficulty of it. You have to inhabit your characters in a sense. I mean, I learned a lot just by watching interviews with Quentin Tarantino and how much he gets completely involved in the characters and has them. It becomes their own entity, even though they're all contained by his imagination. But being able to create a person in your mind and have it have its own organic, direction, that's the real difficulty of it. And I think that's what they do.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Quentin Tarantino because like Quentin Tarantino and like Vince Gilligan are like these directors, stuff, these creators that like. Kind of revolutionized like the movie and film industry in general because they've done things that like no other director, creator, or anything like that has done. Like like you hear like Vince Gilligan and other like people like talk about like Breaking Bad and how like no other show has done like such a huge transformation with like the character, and then like Quentin Tarantino, he's done so many different things with like so many different like storylines, characters, just like perspectives on things, and like they both like just they're unique. They're unique to like their own profession and own like industry they're within.
Yeah. I mean, what I like about Quentin Tarantino is what a lot of people don't like about him is that he incorporates different genres, different elements that he's seen in movies that he's enjoyed. He's brought them together to create something new, and I think that's essentially what all forms of art and creativity is. I mean, not many things purely come from you. They come from, they're influenced by things you've seen that create something new. Yeah, I don't know how much of a parallel I can draw between the two, but I do think Breaking Bad is maybe not creating something entirely new, but definitely something new that's not something you're used to in a TV series. I think the long, continuous, epic story is not done. I mean, it's been done in a TV series, but hasn't been done quite this well.
Yeah.
And not with characters that are these powerful that have you've really delved into. I think for me, Battlestar Galactica is something that kind of watches like a very long movie, like Breaking Bad does. But I wouldn't put Battlestar Galactica in terms of quality with Breaking Bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, like science fiction in general doesn't have like the highest quality, and like or like it's always like so different that like that if you're comparing it with a different genre, then like it's just gonna be like, all right, they're completely different. It's like two ends of the spectrum. Usually science fiction, whether it's the quality or character or storyline, it's gonna be like it's the most different. It's the most like I want to say diverse of genres out there, because it's you can't really compare it to much else.
I mean, just going to Battlestar Galactica. I mean, the criticisms I have about it is that it took on a lot. It took on it encompassed essentially the entire universe and in the entire spirit world or whatever, and it took on a lot of themes, and I think it lacked. While it watches like a very long movie, it's when you try to have a story that's playing into prophecy and things like this, you're going to get a lot of plot holes and a lot of things that you promised and didn't deliver. And I think that's what it failed to do. But I still thought it was a great series. It's just that's another series that watches like a movie, like a very long movie, like Breaking Bad does. I think.
Did they ever have like a movie like from that, like derived from
Battlestar Galactica movie?
Yeah.
No, I mean they've had like maybe like special episodes that
longer. Or,
yeah, like longer episodes that were kind of that were billed as it's kind of like a special episode, like separate from the series, but not really though.
Yeah. So it's So I know it's kind of it may sound like an insult, but it's kind of like a Nickelodeon show, like where like. Even though they do call it movies, it's just really like a longer episode, and it's just kind of they just throw it in there.
Well, it makes you question what the real difference is, and sometimes it's not much.
Yeah. Say that with the Rugrats movies. But yeah. Definitely going to be interesting next 6 weeks or several weeks, depending on if they want to have like a fake week off or something like that, or
yeah, I'm sure they'll stretch out as long as they can to promote the other shows.
Yeah, they always seem to have like that. Like they're gonna have like there's not many series that have an entire season where they don't skip a week. Like there's always like they always try to find some excuse, whether it's like it's Memorial Day weekend, we can't show this, even though
well, I mean they're trying to maximize on their ratings as much as possible. I mean, it's a lot less detrimental to skip a week than it is to accept like less viewership and lower ratings. So, I mean, if there's anything that's going to conflict with the ratings, I mean, they may probably jump at the excuse to just delay it.
Yeah. I can understand it, but this is always like frustrating. It's like, really? I mean, I have more time. I can watch it now.
Yeah. That's why you need Netflix.
Yeah, that's for sure. Netflix is like this, pretty much the Reddit of movies.
The Reddit of movies? How does that work?
Because it's just like, you can kind of just get lost in Netflix. Like, you can get lost in Reddit, where you just, like, you know, you kind of just, you can watch, like, one thing and stuff like that, and then, like, you know, they always have the suggestions or something like that, or you hear it from other friends that suggest things to watch, or, like, you hear through the grapevine and all this stuff. It's just like, it's a network of suggestions with, like, movies and TV shows, where Netflix is able to, you know, give you somewhat of the opportunities. I mean, you know, they take away shows and stuff like that, and, you know, I guess you can always find them, but you don't want to really, like, go out of your way, because it's just like, even though it could be easy, it's just like, not worth it.
Yeah.
It's just like one little thing is like, you can get $10 if you just fill out the survey. No, thanks. No, I don't want to do that. No, my time's too valuable for $10.
Well, Netflix. I was actually thinking about this recently, and thinking about Netflix and about how not just technology is going, but what people want is going. And I think just the nature of technology now, and people not just streaming online, but with DVR, and people are going to grow intolerant of commercials. And I wonder what's going to happen to basically our economic system when so many things become subscription based, when content becomes subscription based and not advertising based. I mean, and just look at the internet. Even sites that depend on advertisement for money, like YouTube, people have ad block. Not a lot. No, obviously not a lot of It's not enough people use it where it's extremely detrimental yet. But
well, the thing is with, like, when you bring that up, it's like Google Chrome incorporates that. Like like with, like, some browsers, you have to go on certain websites and download it, and it's like a third party application. But with, like, Google Chrome, it's just like, you know, it's like their most popular like little what's it called, widgets or apps or whatever, that, like, you can just add, or extensions, they call it extensions, that you can just add on, and it's just like really simple. You just, like, you click, like, one button, like, would you like to add this? Yes, you add it, and it's just simple right there. But yeah, and Google Chrome's becoming more and more popular because all the other ones are becoming more and more shitty as compared to that. I mean, it's like,
I'm still on Firefox. I like Firefox. I'm used to it, and it's not as horrible as Internet Explorer, so I'm comfortable with myself. My choices.
Well, yeah. As long as you're not doing Internet Explorer, then, I mean, you're not a complete fool.
Yeah.
Those people are just, you know, I don't know. It's our equivalent to just, like, a third world country. Like, you know, it's just like the 30-second demo of a third world country is Internet Explorer. It's just like, if you want to, like, check the past, and, you know, like, where technology is just, you know, inefficient and all that stuff, just use Internet Explorer.
Somewhere Bill Gates is like, hey.
Yeah. Well, he has enough money to not give a shit. There's still millions of people that use Internet Explorer, and there's mostly poor people, but that's them. But
I think it makes me wonder. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm overemphasizing the significance of just content producers like that. Just, you know, movies, TV shows, music, things like that. But I do kind of maybe revel in perhaps one day our economy being less advertising based, and just being barraged with it. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that aren't necessarily artistic content, like TV shows and movies and music, that are still going to have advertising, but maybe we're going to have less spaces to see advertising, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just, yeah, you know, technology grows, and it just leaves, it makes it so that websites have to find more creative ways to put advertising in.
Yeah.
Like, one thing, like with Reddit, I've noticed, even if you had ad blockers on, they still have little promoted things. They still have, like, some ads on there. Mm-hmm. Like, it's mostly self-promotion, but I've seen, like, some like promoting movies and stuff like that, and promoting like TV shows.
Yeah.
And like so they're finding a way around it. I mean, some other websites, if they really need the funding from advertisement, then they're going to eventually find that way. But then there's just going to be more extensions and apps and all this stuff that you can just add that are just going to reblock that stuff. So they have to find more ways, and eventually it's just going to get to the point where, yeah, there's really probably not going to be advertisement, or there's going to be like...
Well, there's always going to be some form of advertisement. We're dependent on it, but, I mean, even if you live in a socialistic state, I mean, there's still going to be advertisement. I think the truly great products don't need advertisement. You'll find out about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
But I just kind of, it's sort of my perhaps foolish hope that one day the ickier parts of capitalism will be gone. Just by the introduction of technology like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're hoping for what? China? But maybe one day. I don't know if completely gone, but it's probably going to be to the point where it's just, there's going to be so few, and then the people that are like advertising, they're going to have to pay a lot to be able to...
I mean, there's still going to be advertising. The insane amount of it is what I have a problem with. I would like things to be more it's a more direct trade-off of just money for content, not just and not just paying, just paying for a cable subscription and just for one show or two shows or something like that, but perhaps paying for specific shows or something, like you would for a specific artist or something like that, musician.
But like that like doesn't really help the service providers much if you only get what you want. They feast upon people like just thinking, oh, well, I mean, I might as well pay a little bit more to get a bunch of stuff, and then it's just like little things that add up. But is there that many services where you can just buy what you want? Like you can just like where stuff like Hulu Plus and Netflix and all this stuff where all you just pay. Like a pay-as-you-go thing, or you just pay for just what you want. There's not much of those because they get a lot of money in subscriptions.
Yeah.
Because subscriptions don't guarantee that people are actually going to use the.
Yeah, it would delve away from the concept of subscription based providers, but yeah, or I mean even just something like Netflix, but some imaginary source and some imaginary provider in the future where you had a much bigger library and it all being streaming. And then you can just pick what you want, and you are paying for it to provide it, not necessarily paying by watching advertising.
Yeah, but it's like the whole concept with gift cards. Like companies make money on people that don't fully use the gift cards. Like anything that they don't use, and that's something, and like so many people get gift cards and gift cards that there's bound to be one that somebody either loses or just forgets about or something like that, and then the companies.
Not just that, but it's bringing people to the store, and it's probably unlikely that everyone's gonna keep right to the amount on the card, and they're not going to just buy more.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no harm in it. But the funny thing about gift cards is that they exist purely because it's considered uncouth just to give money.
Yeah.
When that is essentially what you're doing, but you're limiting their options.
Yeah.
Or you're just trying to direct them to something.
Yeah, it's like it'd be interesting if people just bought a bunch of gift cards and gave it to homeless people. Like what the homeless people's reaction would be Because they just want to spend it like. A lot of them just want to spend it on like cigarettes and booze.
Oh yeah, because they're all the same, Sean.
What they are.
Right.
But most of them like my dad works at Walgreens, and like he sees like so many homeless people around the area, and he told me about this one woman who was trying to get enough money to get a prescription.
Yeah.
She didn't have enough money, so she was just like going on a corner or going like at a gas station, asking for money. And at a certain point, she still didn't have enough money, so she just broke down and used the money to buy a pack of cigarettes instead of saving up more money to actually get her prescription, which she needed.
Mm.
So at a certain point, it's just like, these people, whether they initially intend to use it for like, good stuff, beneficiary stuff, they're just eventually just going to use it on like crap like that.
But can't you draw that analogy to everyone, really? That people, if you don't quite accomplish your dream in the most easiest way possible, people give up. I mean, most people are going to give up, and you can kind of call it, their goal, like a goal, like a life goal or something, like to get that. Because I mean, that would be a hard thing to accomplish, to get money to buy a prescription that you need, and then give up. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Not many people are helping them out, so.
Well, yeah. Well, I understand the thing, but what I'm saying is that I don't like giving people money on good faith that they will use it, like on something good, something that they actually need, and because for the most part they're not. I mean, obviously there's going to be ones that actually need it. But it's just like charities, like, yeah, it's good to give to charity, but like if you're like saying like, oh, you didn't give to this one charity, you didn't give to this one charity, it's like, who's to say that one charity is better than the other, and who's to say that one homeless person is better than the other? It's a situation by situation thing that I just like to just throw out the window and just not give to any of them.
Well, I mean, you don't have to rationalize it. If you don't want to give to people, you don't have to. But I don't really, so.
Yeah. Well.
But I mean, if you have a problem with panhandling, there's always just volunteering at shelters. There's always just giving money to shelters and organizations that help them out. I mean, I don't think anyone expects anyone to help to every organization there is, or have some moral dilemma or what charity is more deserving than others.
Yeah. And it just sucks that like a lot of those organizations that actually help like the homeless people are just getting shut down, no funding and all stuff. So then these homeless people have like even less like ability to try to get out of that situation. And,
if you ask me, it's a responsibility of the state.
Yeah, but that's just...
Homeless people are way too easy to ignore, especially when you have cops just transplanting them to other places.
Yeah. California. Yeah, but that's just kind of life, people just kind of look over homeless people because it's so easy to do. It's so easy to just kind of look the other way and just, because, with like the few cases of like them being crazy. I mean, I'd say few cases, but the amount of cases that of like these homeless people just doing this crazy stuff where they're yelling, like they're being like schizophrenic, or just being violent, or just being an asshole, or whatever, that it just discourages people to even like help one of them that isn't like that. And it's just one bad apple spoils the bunch. It just kind of just screws up the system for everyone else. Well, I think we're just about done with this podcast. We'll maybe have a podcast in 6 months or less. Who knows? At this pace, you know, you can just expect it sometime. Or not expect it. We don't expect you to expect it. We shouldn't expect you to expect it, but it just kind of happens. You got an outro, Andrew?
No, I'm not that imaginative.
There you have it.